All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to our SMPTE panel. Oh my goodness, I have sound. I hope you're all doing good. Thank you for coming. Today's a little something that we wanted to throw together for you guys, those students similar to me that come to De Anza with no idea in mind other than that they would like to explore film production. So here we have some professionals in the film industry in whichever way. We have an expansive range for you today. And I would like to start off by going over introductions. Andrew, let's start with you. Please introduce yourself, your current occupation, what you're doing, and some specialties that you've done in the past.
Okay. I'm honored to be here. I'm probably the least qualified to be here. I have been, my background is I'm an engineer. I used to design TV cameras here in Mountain View, and then I went to Macrovision, and so I was both jobs for 20 years each. My related experience is that I was part of the team that produced the Panicam, which was the first attempt to make a film-style video camera, and it was by Panavision, and it allowed the use of all of the Panavision lenses and accessories. So it was a pretty cool machine. It was standard definition, and it made nice colorimetry, but resolution in those days was lacking. So the bigger reason I'm here is that I've had a production company since 1984, which is a very long time ago. I have literally done thousands of multi-camera productions all over the Bay Area. I know most of the theaters in the Bay Area. I know which ones are acoustically horrible and which are not. I have thoroughly enjoyed doing that. It's not a money-making thing. It doesn't work. We pay for the equipment, but that's about it. So that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you, Andrew. I want to talk a bit about the Panicam later. Jacob.
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah, I'm so sorry.
It's all good. Same.
I'm Jacob.
You're Jacob.
Jeremiah, please.
So I'm Jeremiah Isip. I'm from Hercules, California. I grew up with Miles over there, his father. When me and his dad were young, we used to film a lot of just us doing a lot of crazy things in the 80s and 90s, and always had a love of filming things. I used to skateboard too, so I used to make a lot of skate videos with my friends. And then when I got older, I went to City College, but in Pleasant Hill. It was called DVC, also a city college, and I didn't know what I was going to do either. So I think originally I was going to do liberal arts because I was working with children at the time. But I was like, I want to learn how to edit these skate videos and these videos that me and Miles' dad used to do all the time when we were kids. And then I started to learn how to edit, and I was like, oh, maybe I could do this as a career because I like story. I always loved storytelling and doing stuff like that. So I took a class and I learned so much at the community college and had so much fun. I was like, maybe I could do this as a career, and I kept going with it and doing it. Then I got internships at the local TV stations, and I was working at local TV stations for like a long time. Then I got a job in the Filipino channel, so it's the international channel, working on documentaries and films and stuff like that. And I was there for like 20 years, and then got let go because of COVID and stuff happened. So now I'm working with the city of San Francisco, working in government TV, which is totally different, and not where I thought I would be at, but it's pension, so it's good. So yeah, so it's cool.
Got a job.
I got a job, yeah. So that's me right now.
Thank you, Jeremiah. All right, Shane.
I'm Shane. I don't know why I'm here. Yeah. So my name is Shane Ruggieri. I'm currently the Advanced Imaging Systems creative lead over at Dolby, not Adobe, Dolby, the movie and sound company, the double D. What was the part you wanted, how we came into this? Or?
That's your current occupation. I'm wondering the other things that you've done in the past. How did you get to this current occupation?
Wow. Okay, so I was a DJ when I was 12 to 21. Mixing, scratching, 5 turntables, really into cutting, scratching, and MTV come out. And I was like, I can mix music, now I can mix video, what? Like, this is video? So I wanted to be a director, and I wanted to mix video to then take my mixes from audio and put them together. So I always wanted to do that, and for the longest time I didn't know how to do it, and so I found a buddy who actually had a camera, and so went to college, joined took a couple classes, and then made music videos for people for a long time, and then I saw a job in the industry in 2000, and I started to apply for my first job and got into it as a marketing manager for a studio. And then as a marketing manager, I started producing for the owner, and he come to me and told me, hey, I'm gonna fire you and hire you as a producer. I'm like, what? Wait, what? Hold on. What do you mean you're gonna fire me and then hire me? He said, you'll make more money, don't worry. And so he taught me how to do the business. And he said, you can either be really good at one thing and maybe survive, or be really good at a lot of things, and when this goes down, you might get this job, and you might get this job, and you might get this job. And so I was like, well, I'm not afraid of work. So I did that. And so I was an editor, a producer, first an executive producer, a producer, studio manager, an editor, and I've got IMDb's on all of those. And so then eventually Dolby, I was contracting with them for a very long time. They called me up and said, hey, can you come help us with this thing called HDR? We want to create some content in 2010. And so I went over there in 2010, started helping them create content, and they offered me a job. I'm like, I don't think you can afford me, because I was charging good rates, and I had just edited iPhone 1 with Apple. And they were like, well, think of it like, just give us a year. Think of it like going to college and learning this new HDR thing, and we'll show you all the cool tools. And I was like, okay, I'll give you a year. That was 14 years ago. It was really cool. So got introduced to a lot of really cool tech, behind the scenes tech. That's how I got into this, and that's kind of what I'm doing now. This morning I shot a 50 red camera shoot, testing calibration techniques by myself. I shot the whole thing myself and produced it and did the whole thing, and then sent it off to the guys down south to process. So that's me.
That's very cool.
And if this is a SMPTE thing, I'm the San Francisco SMPTE chair. So if you're not in SMPTE, come see us.
Yeah, this is a SMPTE thing.
Good. So I'm your guys' chair for the San Francisco section. So,
Andrew, I wanted to ask again, first off, what education have you pursued? And also, was developing film camera technology always your interest? Or how did you start working on the Panacam, for example? Was that one of your first projects?
No. Let's see. That was a long question. I was educated in England and in engineering. I came here in '72, and back in those days you get a green card really quickly. So I actually applied in August, and September 28th of '72 I got a job. I had a job lined up in Mountain View at this little company who made TV cameras. I had an amateur television station in England with a homemade camera, so I had a little experience, and that's why they hired me. But I quickly moved up and became the chief engineer. And so we designed these three-tube cameras, which are largely bought by access stations. Public access was a big deal in the 70s. It was brought about by a Cable Act, which mandated that cable companies would pay for a studio in a community and allow public access in exchange for the easement of your backyard where the cables went. Mm-hmm. A very cool American thing, I have to say. I was just delighted to find out about it. So that little company in Mountain View went on with that for a while, but it kind of dried up. And eventually we were bought by Warner Communications for Panavision. Panavision was owned by Warner Communications also. And they commissioned us to take our three-tube color camera and make it into a film-like camera. They did all the mechanics. It was very, very elaborate, very, very expensive, and very unsuccessful. But it was dramatically film-like in that, you know, people would rent this thing and then rent all the lenses and stuff, and they made a few productions. Then Warner Communications got in trouble because the Atari disaster happened, and Warner lost a lot of money, and they chopped off the little companies that were losing money, and we were one of them. And so 4 of us bought it with our severance pay. Just a cool sort of Silicon Valley thing. And we started making video sys cameras. And so we made a purpose-built camera that went on the side of film cameras to get the instant dailies. And we were talking earlier about the problems of film production, and you don't get the stuff back, and you don't know the shutter was closed the whole time. So they had feedback, and that was a total success. I actually designed the whole thing myself, and it ended up on all the electronics, I should say. And it ended up on every Panaflex film camera, which was pretty cool. But then we kind of saturated the market, and I moved on to Macrovision.
Nice.
Did I answer your question?
Did you ask the question? No, no.
Did I answer your question?
Absolutely.
I'm also wondering, like for these projects where you're developing these new technologies, where does the need initially come from? What decides what innovations that you work on? For you, Andrew.
Oh, for me. Well, the video sys camera was interesting because it was an established technique, but terribly poorly implemented. There were little Philips surveillance cameras that people were using, and they were not built for the purpose. They were fragile, they were noisy, they were just awful. And we just sort of recognized this need because we had this association with Panavision. My particular skill in that era was preamplifiers for TV cameras, which is a little niche. If you ask, I've tried asking Google some key questions about it. Google gets most of it wrong because no one knows anything about it. It's just my little niche. And there was someone at Ampex who was studying it, and someone at RCA, and someone at Ikigami who was pretty good at it. But little niche business, getting signal to noise ratio better on TV cameras. Let's see. I think that's the only thing I can really call on that. Yeah.
And just one more question about that. I was wondering how you've seen that technology develop. Like, where is it now? Is it still relevant, those things?
Video sys is not relevant because everyone shoots in digital stuff. I could lend you guys a video sys camera for your film.
Oh, I bet Deanza would love that.
It's gone. After I left the company, actually, they developed. There is a problem with video sys cameras, and that is that there's flicker because you get the light when the shutter is closed. So there's a rotating shutter, and it's coated on the back so that all the light goes to the video sys camera for a short time when the shutter is closed, when the film has been pulled out. And if you're running at 24 frames, of course, you've got this beat between 60 hertz and 24 frames. And so after I left the company, they developed a flicker-free one, which was really cool. It was CCD oriented. Our business kind of dried up a little bit, and I had a kid going to college, so I had to move on. That's where the technology's gone.
Thank you very much for those responses. I would like to change it up a little bit to Jeremiah. I'd like to ask you some questions. When did your hobby to you start becoming not a hobby and a job, a lifestyle?
I think I was like 21. So 2001, I was 21, and I got an internship at this company called the Filipino Channel, which is based in the Philippines. And I got to, and at that particular time in my life, I was learning more about my Filipino culture and stuff. And, you know, there wasn't a lot of stories and just anything about like the Filipino community at that particular time. So as I was going to school and I was learning more about it and I was getting better in like doing more storytelling. And then I got hired at this company and I started to cover like stories that are, because I worked in like news and we did documentaries and stuff. I started off as an editor and as a cinematographer, and then became a cinematographer and helped like produce and direct stuff there. I think at that time when I was learning more about my culture and covering these stories about like these non-documented Filipinos that are about to get like kicked out of America, or these homeless encampments of Filipinos, stuff I didn't know about, and that's when I knew like the art. I mean, I knew the art. We were learning the art form has like a storytelling, like it has an effect on the community, so you could have a positive impact to your viewers and they could learn something from it. And I think at that time, at 21, 22, when I was learning more about my culture and covering these stories, that's when it became more of a profession. Mm-hmm. That's when I knew it wasn't a hobby no more, because I was like really helping make an impact on the Filipino community. If that makes sense. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
You said around 2020s?
Yeah, like 20, because I was 21 around 2001, 2002, around that time when I got hired. Yeah. Yeah.
I was wondering, what's your work at SF Gov like compared to what you were doing before, and your documenting of is it similar now that you're working for government?
In some cases, like when I used to work for like local news, I used to work for the sports station too, and the Philippines. We used to do a lot of like public service announcements, commercials, or like documentaries and stuff like that. So I would apply. So what I'm doing now is applying what I use, and I worked on films and TV shows that aired in the Philippines. So learning, like taking like the film aspect of like storytelling and bringing it to the water department when they talk about their new faucet or something like that. So it's totally different content, but as much as you could use whatever you learned there and bring it over to this new, this different content, and as best as you can. So it's not just a talking head, because usually stuff for the government is just talking head about, and then like the outline of like, yeah. So as best as you can. I know they didn't hire me for that there. They just want someone to, but it's, you know, it's a job. It's a job.
You're raising the level.
Yeah,
You're raising the level.
As best as you can. And sometimes they don't even like that. Like they're like, yeah, it's too complicated, man. Just make it like simplified.
Let's be
Like,
real.
yeah, it's like we just want our phone. And I was like, okay, fine. So film it on the phone. So it's different and similar in those ways. You try, but no. Yeah, listen to the client in the end.
Thank you for that, Jeremiah. Shane, I would like to add, earlier we were talking about how you're an every hat man, you have them all. I was wondering, how do you work up that kind of skill set through the jobs that you've done?
Well, you don't take corners, you don't cut corners, you don't try to do the easiest way. You spend a lot of time listening and looking. I kind of like to say, use your ears and your eyes and your mouth in the ratio they're on your head, you know, and because you need to listen and learn how to learn and learn how to be taught, right? Learn to be led, because through that you learn how to lead. And for me, I was in sports as a young kid. I toured on the United States team. I was probably going to go play pro soccer. Something happened, didn't work out, but I was always coachable. And so when I was looking into this field, I was like, I want to learn, and I expected to have teachers or people that I would go to and mentors teach me. And I didn't expect to do it their way, but I would learn their way, right? Because that's the most important thing. If you don't follow it all the way through and understand exactly how, and more than likely, you might get 80% there and think you know it all, and you don't. It's that last 2% that matters and changes everything. And you don't know that, you know, as a young person, you know, I thought I knew everything, but, you know, when I got to that end point, I would always learn something, either about myself or about that style, and then I would take that in. So wrap this into this is I just applied the same mentality to these functions, whether it was editing, whether it was shooting, and I would volunteer my time. I would give my time away. I'd be second camera on. I did a lot of second camera work, like on Terminator. I've done second camera on local TV shows and broadcasts. I've supported the local news channels on things because they just need someone to carry sandbags. I'm like, I can do it. They're like, you're a producer. I'm like, I can do it. I'm happy to hang out. I'm learning, and I would just give my time away because they're teaching me. Everything was a learning lesson, and so I just kept going deep on every single thing. Until you start to become good at it and you start to see the overlap, and it's just get rid of your ego, I guess, and just go in and just learn how to learn and learn how to be led. That'll make a really good leader.
Thank you. I want to ask all of you, and we'll go from Shane. We do all of this work, put our names out there, and we build the resume. I'm wondering how much of finding these job opportunities, camera operator and such, how much of that is the resume that you submit, and how much of it is the people that you know that bring you onto these projects?
Resumes are like hashtags, pretty much not useful anymore. It's who you know. It's who you work with. It's the relationships and the network that you build. I've gotten more jobs that I was unqualified for because they knew who I was. They knew I would, if I didn't know it, that I would go figure it out. And if I didn't know how to do it, I would tell them, I don't know how to do that. And I could tell you I can do up to this point, what else should I do at that point? You let go of the ego and don't hide it and pretend like you know everything. I think that's one of the big challenges that I have with hiring young folks right now is they want to pretend they know anything because they think that's the important thing to say. And it's not. That's not the important thing to say. The important thing to say is be open and honest about what you do know. Because then I can leverage that and put someone else with you or aid that. Or give you some insight to say, hey, you're just that far away, just do this thing. And they're like, oh, and it blows their mind. And they can then finish the job. I just never had that I know everything. That's kind of how I would put it.
Jeremiah, I'd like to ask you the same thing. I was looking at your IMDb a little bit, and I've noticed that you've done some camera operator work stuff as well. How do you, find yourself in the situation of specializing in things and getting on these projects?
I mean, just like him, I think we're the same age. I'm not sure because
Five, man.
Okay. 46.
Yeah,
46.
a little bit,
Yeah, we're the same. We're the same. But yeah, same thing. Just also just I don't know everything, and I'll learn. And my resume, I would also get hired because people know me, or not because I'm like whatever. It just they vibed with me. We vibed well, and they're like, Jeremiah was cool and he was good on set. Let's bring him on. And he might know whatever we're doing, but he'll learn because he's cool, and I think he's coachable. It's all about being coachable for sure. And then I was just talking to a friend about that, about sports, because I box, but I'm not like I don't compete or anything, but you have to be coachable to learn all moves and stuff. So I was like, filmmaking's the same way. You need to be coachable and be told allow your people to teach you, and you have to be humble to be taught. And if you act like you know everything, then it makes it hard for you to get work. And they're like, because there's a lot of young people I meet, and they would want jobs and stuff, and it's hard for me to hire them because they don't know, there's something about the vibe, or they're not coachable. So to answer your question is just be coachable, and I'll learn the job they can put me on, but I'm pretty confident that you can put me on it, then I'll do the best I can, and whoever's my director or producer will show me what I'm messing up on, and I'll do better.
I'd like to add something to that.
Yes.
I'd say 99.9% of all the jobs in the industry, you're not in control. It's not your gig. Unless you're putting your own content out there where you're owning it and you're in control of it, you're not in control. I sat in front of a color station for many, many, many years. Person behind me, whoever that is, whether it's a producer, a line producer or a person who knows nothing about color or anything like that, if they own the content, it's their piece. And it's not my attitude. It's not my choice. It's not my creative vision. You bring your skills to that, and you try to find a way of communicating and actually translating how they're telling you what they want. That's your job. Your job is to translate what their vision is into that thing, whether it's a shoot, a edit, or whatever. And I think that's one of the things that you really need to own. If you can really lock that into your being, and you go in with, like, let me help you get your vision out of your head onto screen, no matter what job you have, you're going to go way further than, hey, look how good I am. Look at all the skills I've done, and me stuff. Me stuff is good for when you're in control, when you own it, or you're hired to be the person that's defining the image, or defining the look, or defining the set. And even then, you're still not in control. The person who's paying you is. So I would like to add that in, because it's a really key ingredient to how you come to doing your job. And you need all these other skills. It's not just being able to do the job. You need people skills. You need to be able to take yourself and put your personality away and be there for that person, and try to interpret what they need in that next moment. That's way more. You'll get more jobs out of that than, learning how to do a dolly shot.
Yeah. Attitude is everything. Yeah. Good attitude.
Thank you. And Andrea, I'd like to ask you how you relate to that. And I'm also wondering if your work on the Panacam, excuse me, if it has helped build your name in the sense of hopping on more important engineering projects.
No.
How so?
Back on the previous subject, just for a second, when you're interviewing somebody, one of the things you can't help doing, whether it's conscious or not, is, would I want to be around this person every day? And it's fabulously important when you're being interviewed to be humble and to ask questions and be that person that someone's going to want to be around. So that's my done with that. No, I don't think I don't think I can really do anything useful with your question. I would say that through my experience, I have done a lot of council chambers and things, which is really kind of fun. So the first one I did was I equipped the Menlo Park City Council with cameras, and they had audio already, and with cameras for their broadcasts. And that led, because I was known as having done that, and I then did Foster City, and I did the Samtrans building, I did San Carlos. I didn't actually install that, I just designed it. And there are a couple more which escape me right now, but so that's part of my process. I mean, I was designing cameras, but I was really into the whole thing about electronics and video, and so that led me to these consulting jobs, which were, all nighttime or when I should have been working. Let's see.
That was word of mouth, right? Like you.
That was word of mouth,
word of
as
mouth.
you're saying. Yes.
Yeah.
If you're successful at one, people are desperate to find expertise, and so I didn't advertise.
I think that's a key point. You just said they didn't advertise. Like
Right.
you didn't go out to advertise. People found you because of the experience you gave them.
It also helped. I was on the board of the Media Center in Palo Alto for 30 years. A lot of people knew me. And I designed their first studio and actually installed it. And their second one, I was just part of it. But they have an elaborate studio in Palo Alto. It's very much like your soundstage here. It has triads. I mean, fiber optic cameras built in. It has four cameras. Very, very elaborate. And I was somewhat instrumental in that. all aside from my real joy of designing things.
But your exposure gave you that access, you
It
know,
did.
being out there,
It did.
being in the different places and not just huddling yourself away doing your electronics in the back room.
Right.
You got out in front of people, you talked to people, you shook hands, you were in the community. And I think that's very important for people to understand. Your job is not just doing your job. It's being out there and creating the community, being out there, getting into the adjacent communities, coming to things like this. It's extremely important.
Thank you very much. I just want to let the audience know after my next few set of questions, I'd like to open it up for Q&A from you guys when that comes around. This is a question that I was more personally wondering. Are you currently doing AV installs, or is that something more behind you?
Brandon knows very well.
Yeah, and that's sort of where that question comes from, because Brandon is someone that does a lot of AV installs for work.
Yeah.
I was wondering how lucrative is that in the Bay Area?
I haven't done a money-making one for many years, so I have no idea.
Okay.
I have to say that some people at my church were talking to me. Their little kid had been helping with audio and video at church. And so they came to visit with me one day, and they were just chatting. And I said, my problem is all this stuff is 25 years old, and I'm very old, and I'm the only one that can fix it. And it's, you know, we're going to have to grow up and get something real here. And they gave us $100,000 to install a new system. So Brandon and I have been poring over all these available options, and so that's the one I've done. I haven't done anything else. So lucrative, I have no idea. What I can tell you is video production really struggles to be lucrative. In my little bio I gave you, I told you that our production company made 9,000 discs of our own productions in 1 year. And we had our own DVD print and Blu-ray printers, we had our own duplicators. But back in those days, you could sell discs, so you could actually make money. But, you know, 15 years ago, I went to YouTube, and it's very hard to monetize that. You've got to actually get the people to cough up some money ahead of time, and people don't have the budget for it. So we recorded in Montgomery Theatre and Hammer Theatre, all the junior colleges around here, apart from this one. Usually theatrical productions. And as I said earlier, we paid for our equipment. We never actually made any money doing it. But it was a fun sideline. So it's a struggle to make money in video production. It's a struggle to make, I don't think it's a struggle to make money doing installs if you advertise and you know, get the jobs and things like that. I certainly made money with my consulting jobs.
When you said YouTube changed things, and there's just wrenches like that thrown with technology advancing and stuff, I'm wondering how have you continued on with finding new work or continuing to problem solve with what happened afterwards when that stopped being printing discs?
Typically, we would let people know what it was going to cost them to do the production, and it, you know, it was not a lot of money generally because we weren't really into to make profit. You have to be realistic. I mean, you have to cover your costs and things like that. I'm not really answering your question because I'm not really qualified. Essentially, our business went away when the pandemic happened, and I do occasional shoots now. I did. There's a really cool thing, the Kaufman Awards for semiconductor contribution. They're always very high-level people. I record that every year, and we're doing a dance program in Palo Alto in a couple of weeks, which is fairly that. We'll be 3 cameras. That one we're not actually going to charge for because we really like the community part of that effort. So I'm not answering your question at all. I'm hopeless. Sorry.
Well,
You are.
just a fun question for the students. Are you looking for hands for the Palo Alto shoot at all?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
Maybe a camera person. So, forgive me.
Get a list of things. I can add something to that question because
Yes,
I had a production company during that time, and I had DVDs. In fact, one of the things that we used to do is we'd go shoot like directors or people that wanted to sell something or do something, childcare. People would give speeches and things like that. And I met a doctor who does early childhood education and that kind of thing. And I recorded 20 DVDs for him, and I charged him nothing. But I would sell the DVDs online, and I owned the DVDs, and I'd give them a 10% royalty, right? And so we did a lot of that stuff. And when YouTube came along, that business completely went away because, and I was like, hey guy, I like, do you want, I just basically gave him the DVDs. I gave him the rights to all the stuff because now he could put it online and try to build up his own program. But even when we used to shoot stuff and deliver on a DVD or deliver some kind of presentation, that work, they started asking for, so rather than actually a disc or per disc, because we would charge per disc, you want 30 copies, you want 20 copies, how much do you want? And then we'd give them a deal. I had a DVD printer too, it was nice, right? It was automating things were awesome. Made lots of money on that one. But we changed it to going USB. That was the first version of going from DVD to USB, so we used to deliver USB. Then that went away when YouTube came around. And we would deliver one copy, and we'd either charge them for that copy or charge them to upload it to their server. And so there was always a way of making a little bit of money. You just have to convert, roll with the times and use that technology and understand business. If you're not taking business courses, they don't call it show business for, just for fun. It's business. Just because you're an artist doesn't mean that you shouldn't know the business. Like someone else will take care of it. That's your first step of getting taken advantage of. Okay, you need to understand business. Please take a lot of business classes. Okay, because if you don't know how to sell things, you're not going to sell yourself. You're not going to get money in. You're just going to think someone's going to recognize your talent and give you a bunch of money. Maybe one person in here might happen too. Maybe. But there's a lot of other colleges and a lot of other people trying to do the exact same thing. So keep that in mind. Either if you don't see an opportunity, create it. So,
Thank you. Jeremiah, I'd like to change the subject a little bit. On these student projects that we're working on, if you are making it as the director, you're not just the director, you're the writer, you're the executive producer where the funding's coming from, you're the editor, you're doing everything. I noticed on your IMDb you recently worked on a Filipino mini TV series as a director, and I'm wondering, comparatively, what's the work like? Are you still at the head of everything, or are you more, for this project specifically, are you brought on by a studio just to direct a hired script? What's that like in your experience?
Yeah, it was already a thing that they had together, and they hired me onto it because I was part of the same studio, so they just brought me onto it. I helped develop the storyline, and I went to the Philippines with them, but I wasn't supposed to be one of the cinematographers because I had some there. But the ones that they hired, I was like, I don't know about these guys, dude.
right.
I don't know, dude. So I was like, I'm just gonna film just in case. I don't know, man. And I knew, and I tried to give them pep talks. I don't know, but they just, maybe it was a language thing, but it's also a vibe thing too. They couldn't understand like it's just different. So I had to also camera operate too and kind of dictate at the same time, or direct things and coordinate scenarios, and because it's like a docu-reality show of kids going back to the Philippines for the first time, and they get in touch with their roots, right? So you need to make it interesting for every episode. So, but it was hard because you have to work. You're not sleeping as the director, producer, and doing everything, and you're filming it too, and you're supposed to have the other guys filming it, and I wasn't supposed to, but I did just because I knew how to take care of my. So sometimes you have to you gotta let go and let that happen, but sometimes you gotta be I don't know, you gotta trust yourself. I don't know, man. I don't know if they're getting what I need to get. And then when I went back to go through the editing, they weren't getting everything I wanted to get, and even with the direction and talking to them over time, and some of them had bad attitudes. I think because I was from America, so You know, sometimes they're like, no. So I was like, all right, I knew it. But yeah, that's so. You'll run into those, and you can't let that affect you. You just got to go through it, and not let it affect you. And yeah, you can't let anything affect you. I mean, it's going to from time to time, but you can't give up. You just say, well, I got to figure out a way to make this work, and I'll deal with being angry later.
Diary of CEO. I saw this. This person was talking. I don't want to mention names or anything, but she said something that really was profound to me. She said, "When you come to work, I don't want your authentic self." Excuse me. I don't want your authentic self when you come to work. I can care less about your authentic self. I want your professional self, right? And if you don't think those are two different things, you've got a lot to learn. There's a professional self and your authentic. Who you are doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We don't care about your race, your gender, your face. We don't care. No one. That's not why you're there to work. You're there to work. You're there to do a job and perform a function. And if something that you've learned in the past can be brought to it, great, wonderful. But we don't want that authentic self. We didn't hire you because your name is this or that or your whatever. We hired you to do a role, and because we need you. You need to be part of that link, and you need to fit in, not stand out, right? We need you to fit in because it's the weakest link. And if we see you as the weakest link, it's nothing personal. We just have to get rid of the weakest link. So don't be the weak link, in a sense. And sometimes you have to play more roles. Yeah. And luckily you had the power to do that. You were in the position to take it over and see it and say, this isn't good for the production. I need to step in. And you at least tried.
I tried. I think it worked out. I'm not sure. Yeah, it worked out, yeah. But yeah, you're right.
Thank you. Again, comparing to a student project where assigned a project, you have 2 weeks to make it. For this
2 weeks,
specific
awesome.
one. I know, right?
Sweet. I can get an hour of sleep in there.
Maybe I'd actually like to ask you all, but starting with Jeremiah, what does your normal project timeline look like? For this one, for example, how long does it take to be brought on to then shooting to post-production all the way to development? What does something like that look like?
That one at that time took a year. I think the editing took a couple months. Actually, might have been another year, going through a lot of just the footage. You had to go through everything and re-edit, and might even have to do some pickup shoots too of certain things. But it took us about a year for that one.
How many episodes?
Like 10 or 12, yeah.
10 episodes. Okay,
Yeah,
so a year for 10 episodes.
Something like that, yeah.
So about once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And I even then I felt like it was like, I'm not sure if we were rushing it. I felt like it.
Oh,
I think. I'm not sure.
10 episodes? Yeah.
What would you say the episode length?
That was a rush, yeah. I was like, this is, and yeah, I thought it'd be faster because we were using them as people in the Philippines as the editors, but they couldn't get it. So I was like, damn it, bring it over here. So we just had to redo a lot of stuff. Yeah.
How long does a shooting for your 10 episodes take?
That took about 2 weeks, I think.
Oh, 2 weeks
Yeah.
of nonstop, no
It was
weekends.
nonstop, traveling over the Philippines, no sleep, people getting sick. You know, you go to these countries, man, you get diarrhea. So like, you're like,
Continuity checks.
yeah, you gotta work through it too, and that sucks. But like, that's part of the game, man.
Where's your blue shirt?
Yeah,
Where's your blue shirt at?
yeah,
Oh, I lost it.
Yeah.
What?
yeah. It's yeah. But yeah, like 2 weeks, something like that.
Andrew, thank you. I'd like to ask you the same question. What does a project timeline look like for your field?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. We used to do the Lyric Theatre Gilbert and Sullivan's, and that was a really fun project. And so we would go and watch either the last rehearsal or the first production and record it with just a white shot. And then we would sit and take notes about all the entrances and all the things we need to know. And then on the day we wouldn't shoot the last performance, we shoot the penultimate one, so we had a backup if we really had to. And then we go with 4 cameras, 2 robots, 2 operated, and we record them separately. And then we had a neat little Roland 8-channel recorder, and we'd put stage mics across the front of the stage. That was as close as we could get. Do you all know about the inverse square law?
If you could do it quickly.
It's crucial.
Yes.
If you double the
Distance,
distance between you and the microphone, you make the sound a quarter. And and it's a progression that goes on and on. So you need the microphone as close to your subject every time you can as you can. Sure, you need some reverb and things. You can do that later, but get crisp sound by getting close. So we put these stage mics across and recorded them separately, and then we got a feed from the board. But to answer your question, so we never actually had to go back and do another recording. We always got a good take. But then it would take a week to edit it. And our commitment to ourselves was to get it done in a week. And it was a full-time job, especially if you had to mess with the mics a lot. Mics, any video production is not really a video production. It's a sound production with video. And it's just how it is. You've got to make the audio good. It's got to be seamless. You've got to not be aware of any audio transitions. And then you add video to it and it's sparkling. But, that's how it is. But it was a week job. And then we would burn the copies and distribute them.
Thank you very much for that answer. Before I open it up to the students, I'd like to ask you the same question. What does a normal project timeline look like for you?
Today or back when I was doing video, like more full production work?
Let's talk about full production work. Big projects.
So it obviously depends on the project. It can be, if it's, I shot the 10-year anniversary of Macromedia, right? That was one of our first project that we, Macromedia was prior to Flash, which then came into Adobe Bottom, and now it's just inside Gen AI kind of stuff. So it all kind of led back. It was the first motion animation control software, and they were massive back in the day. Now they're just inside Adobe and the technology. I don't even know if the technology is even there. You guys seen the where they can rotate the dragon, like they build the front of the dragon, then they can fill it in and create the back of the dragon now? Have you ever seen that? Go look at it. It's pretty great Gen AI stuff. So you just got to draw the front of it, and then it'll calculate what the backside looks like. That takes a little bit of the technology of Macromedia, if that kind of tells you. Anyway, connected. Not 100%, but connected. So that project took about a month to line up all the interviews, shoot all the interviews, do the pickups for the interviews, build the website, shoot all the material for the website, motion graphics for the website, all the verifications and fixes and all that kind of stuff for the website and for the editorial, going through all the reviews. It took about a month to do that project. It can take a day. I've done music videos in a day, half-day shoot, half-day edit, deliver it off, because it depends on how much they're paying and how much they want to sit there and noodle. We've got names for him, but I can't say the name because it's kind of offensive. It's a pixel, who likes to poke at pixels, and who wants to have all these changes and make changes just because they can. Corporate folks were the worst. They were the hardest to work for, because a person would come in to edit or do a review, and they would make changes just to make changes, just because they could, not because it was valuable. And you just had to sit there and do it. There was many times when in color sessions, I have this magic knob that does nothing. And they would be like, hey, can you push the color up more? And I'm like, how's this? No, a little bit more. There? Yeah? Perfect. Okay. And I'm not kidding you. There are some people that will do that. But you have to appease them. You have to please them. So I'd say that was about a month. Could be a day. Could be a couple days. But your question is really interesting to these folks, I think, because you need to be able to know how long it is, because that's going to tell you whether you're charging an actual rate or a project rate. And between those two things, it's very important. Does everybody know what a project rate is versus an actual rate? Yeah?
Do you mind going over that?
Yeah. Who does not know the difference? Please raise your hand. Okay, good. An actual rate means I'm going to charge you by the hour, and however long it takes me, that's however actually long it takes me, is how much I'm going to charge you. A project rate is I'm going to charge you X. Okay? So why would you want to have a difference between those two? Well, for your situation, if I were to say I'm going to charge you $1,000, okay, it took me a day. I made $1,000 in a day. I charge you $1,000, and it took me 30 days. I've made $30 a day? 40? How much did I make a day? But I've committed to doing the job, and now I'm upset. Now I'm upset because they keep changing, and now my attitude is getting involved, and it's your own fault. It's your fault. It's not the client's fault. You chose to do, a day rate or an actual, not an actual rate, but a project rate when you should have been shooting an actual rate. So those things are fall back on you as part of doing business and understanding that and being able to talk and communicate to them about the difference between the two. Because if you can do an actual rate, that's great. If you can do a project rate, well, maybe you have to limit how many days. So you have to have a conversation of limiting, I will do $1,000, but I will give you 3 days or 2 days. And if you want more, it's going to be more than $1,000. That has to be in your contract. Do you have a contract? Do you have a contract to hand to somebody? If you don't, there's step one. So anyway, I would say those two things are very, very important, and depends. If you don't know the difference between those two, this is the side you need to start learning, because it's your pocketbook. It says whether you can go give your time away because you had enough projects to go now do a free one, right? And go do something fun, or do your own production, right? So.
May I ask, did you learn the lesson of a well-defined contract the hard way?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Many times. And you think that, oh well, if I don't take this, I won't get the job. Oh, if I don't take this, I won't get this. If I stand up, I won't get this or that. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes you have to choose whether you really, really want that job and take it for no pay or low pay or not what you're worth. Are you getting something out of it? What else can you get out of it? It's up to you to get something out of that. So let's say you're taking crappy pay. Well, maybe you make it a point to connect with 3 to 5 people and try to look for a next job. Maybe you get something out of it. There's always something you can get out of it. Maybe it's just you go in there because you've never worked with that camera and you're just doing it because you want to learn. You need to bring that attitude to that, not, oh man, I'm not getting paid, I'm not going to try hard. That'll kill you faster than anything. Not trying hard, not giving your 100%, that'll, again, leave your authentic self at home. Bring your professional self to work, and you will be happy because you're learning, you're developing that person, not this person. That person's at home, that's fine. You can develop them a different time. Develop that person, right? Because that's the person that's going to earn you money. And then hopefully at some point you'll be able to merge those two, but not right away. Just won't happen right away.
Jeremiah, I see you agreeing a lot with that. What are some of the things that you've also learned with going through contracts?
Same, when I first started out, I was doing project rates, not my hourly rate. I didn't know what to charge. I didn't know you could charge your equipment. I didn't know, I didn't know you could charge DVD. I was just taking gigs, and I was like, oh, all right, $500 is a lot of money for me. But I end up editing, and that goes on for like another month. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. You're making $25.
Yeah,
you're like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So then as I got older, then I understood. And I understood the business side of things and being able to grow with how the technology changes, because YouTube was like change and Vimeo was one of those things, and just So, and I'm glad I went through that, because you appreciate where you're at now. Then, whereas when I try to hire younger people, they have no experience. They're already asking for like $5,000. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if you're worth that much, dude. But like, let me see what you did, and like, I got to see your work ethic, and can other people vouch for you? But that's where it's like.
The power of a statement of work, right? An SOW.
Yeah.
Lock it in.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I would like to segue into student-led questions. Let's do this. I would like to see some hands. If you have any specific questions, I can point and call on you. Again, our panelists are Andrew, Jeremiah, and Shane. If you have questions specific to them. All right.
Jacob.
Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
Sure. You were talking earlier about time and materials, which is what I call it for my other industry tech, versus project based. Are there any tricks or things you can do when you're charging project rate that would reduce the risk inherent things like, I don't know, demanding creative control so that at some point you can say, I stop here, right?
Sure.
Like things like this that you can embed in your initial contracts for somebody new to the career so that they can manage this a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. All of those things that you mentioned should be in your contract, but that shouldn't be where they get introduced to it, right? I think that's the most important thing is you set up a conversation that's separate from, the creative part, and you say, let's have a conversation about how we're going to bill and run the money through, okay, and just how we're going to take care of this stuff. And you have an outline of all the things that are important to you, and so you could limit it in the following ways. Okay, I'm going to give you a project rate, and it depends. I'm going to just make something up, right? Well, what do you do? What do you do?
I'm switching careers from tech. I was a startup co-founder and stuff. So
Right, but what kind of work? Is it video production work, or what is it?
the last thing is
Motion graphics?
A company that did online video distribution for television for 13 years. So
Okay.
yeah, supported TV.
So as far as what I would do is I would.
Software work.
Okay, so I'd break down first I would really understand what you do, right? Like, and I know you do, but I don't know what you do. I would break down what I'm doing and all the places that you either get feedback in, right? So you need to break those things down. So I'm gonna leave it to video production because that's a lot easier to kind of chat about. So in video production, you've got shooting days, you've got edit days, and you've got like review days, right? And then delivery of some sort. Right, and so you want to break down each one of those things and talk and look in there and say, okay, for production, I will give you 2 days, and I'll give you these things. I will bring these many cameras. I will bring this many mics. I will have this many people on set. I will have the following equipment in Appendix A or Appendix B. Are you okay with this? Yes. Is that me? Is that them?
I think we're okay.
Someone didn't like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
clearly. They don't like the
They're
content.
like, tell everybody what?
Yeah.
Be clear? What? But so map it out, be really clear, use appendixes, and then get them to sign off, right? Because, and you can ask them the following question, do you think that's gonna be enough? I think it's gonna be enough. Do you want more stuff there? And put it back on them. That gives you ability to mark it up. The second thing would be on the performance of your side. I'm gonna give editorial.
Yeah.
Here's how editorial's gonna go. I'm gonna do a rough cut by half a day. Then I'm gonna get back to you. You've got a day and a half to get it back to me. If it takes you more than a day and a half, I'm gonna charge you X amount. Okay, these are extra charges. If I get it back within that time, then I will give you, depending on what kind of feedback you give me, I can give you so many things, so many days. And then so you lay out as much as you can, and you get them to buy in to check that stuff off. But you have to understand what it takes, what the review is, what the edit is, what that whole process is. And if you don't know, it's not hard to ask somebody who's done it many years. You can walk those through, and then you put that in your SOW. And then you can have an addendum that says all the different particular things, right? And you make sure that when you're talking to that person, hopefully you're in front of them, that'd be better, then they can check it off. Otherwise, have them initial it and send it back to you, right? And so, to try to answer your question succinctly, you need to have a conversation with them going through the process of that project, giving them opportunity to upgrade.
Yeah.
Right? Because here's the bottom line. And if they want more, they can pay more. And they can do it afterwards too. If at the end of this you want more time, and also be very clear, if you've given me so many things, like we have this much time, you know that. The amount of changes, I'm giving you the opportunity to be involved. If you don't give me changes and don't get me involved, I can't be responsible to you didn't like it. You have to say that out loud, right? If you're not clear, it's the last thing you want to do is at the end surprise them with, well, you didn't like it. Well, you never gave me the chance. Well, no, we talked about it, right? You told me that you would give me the information. And if in that middle part, when you start to do the editorial or whatever, if you see it's going the wrong way, you need to pull them aside and you say, look, I think that you think it's not going the right way. Right? You've got to be able to communicate and read that person and read your client. And that's part of the other side of the job. You just can't imagine you're just going to get a job and everyone is smooth. Is every one of your jobs smooth?
No.
No. It is not. But if you're upset with the client, are they gonna want to work with you again? No. So hopefully that answers the.
Yeah.
Be very clear. You can just write it out. I also give my clients a 3-tiered payment schedule. So every one of my clients gets a 3-tiered payment schedule. So when I do extra work for them, so say color work, I'll give them, pay me within a week, I'll give you this rate. Pay me in 2 weeks, I'll give you this rate. Pay me net 30, I'll give you this rate. But that's what I do for them. I don't have to. I could just do net 30.
All right, thank you. Do we have any, let's do another question. I know you're curious. Yes.
This question is for Andrew and Jeremiah. With your work as a video or tech professional, with live events that need to more and more often, it's involving not only the audience in the room, but an audience somewhere else, or a participant from somewhere else, or staff from somewhere else. What do you balance, or how do you prioritize so that both audiences can have like the best experience? If that makes sense.
Go ahead.
No, I know.
It's outside my experience, I'm afraid. I've been doing AV at Grace Lutheran Church for 40 years, and since just before the pandemic, we've been live streaming, and so we do make an effort to make it as palatable for the people at home as it is for the people sitting in the church. But that's my only experience. So sorry.
I mean, for the city of San Francisco, we also live stream a lot of our like events we cover, and I work on those, like maybe with the mayor or whatever event's going on. But we try, I mean, are you talking from like a production perspective, like trying to make it, we try, like when I have to direct one of the live shows, I try to try to make it more interesting with the shots, if there's music or performance. And then, yeah, that's what we try. I mean, I don't know who watches government TV, but we do our best, and for the 5 people that watch it. So I think that's how we try, from a live perspective. And in the past, I've worked, when I was working with the Filipino company, we did a lot of live events too. Like, we bring artists from the Philippines, they would perform for, you know, the community in Great America or whatever, yeah. So, yeah. So we would, you know, that, and they're pop stars. So we would try to make it interactive with people watching. Yeah, we would have our different, like our gimbal guy or jib dude, to make it more dynamic with the shots. I think that's what a lot of, I mean, I'm not sure who's Filipino here, but whoever's he is, like, whoever watches those like variety shows or game shows, or they have a lot of this crazy stuff, so and that's what they're known for. So I think that's, for that audience, that's what they like. So it depends on your audience. Yeah, I don't know if you want to do all this crazy stuff, but or it's in Asia.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Andrew, I wanted to change that question up a little bit. You said you've been working for the AV of that church for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a big change when you brought live streaming to the whole production of the Sunday? And also, what are some of the upgrades that you've implemented through that time?
We started with homemade cameras, literally. So it's been a progression through tube cameras, CCD cameras, early CCD cameras, and most of it bought off eBay because we had no budget. And you know, it's great to have the skills to be able to fix things, because then you can buy things on eBay and you get much better equipment. So, you know, I'm not suggesting anyone should do that, but it really gives you a choice of good equipment that you wouldn't have if you had to buy new. We went high definition in 2016. We paid for it. It was $32,000 for the system, and we paid for it entirely with money we had made by selling DVD tapes and VHS tapes and DVDs of children's productions during the summer over the previous 25 years. We just saved all the money and then bought a high definition system 10 years ago. Back to your question. So since we had a complete system installed, it was very easy when the pandemic happened to go live stream. We actually live streamed the week before the lockdown. And Easter was 3 weeks later, and we had 960 people watch our live stream on Easter. And we didn't advertise. It was just that people didn't know where to go to church on Easter, and they found us. That was a pretty good moment. It was really rewarding, all the effort, you know. So the pandemic was really, I mean, it changed for all people in media. It changed things a lot. We have a daughter who teaches high school in Palo Alto, and it changed teaching. She was faced with a Zoom screen with blank, no kids showing. Occasionally they spoke if they were present, but it changed a lot. But it led to live streaming from many, many people, and I think that's a joy, a good benefit of the pandemic. Did I answer your question?
Yeah,
Good.
just about. I guess the one last thing adding on to that with the pandemic, you said there was no advertisement for that stream that had 900 people. Are you still improving your reach? And if so, how?
No. I don't know, what's the audience, Brandon? It's a couple of dozen Sunday, 2 services. So no. But again, the joy is there are a few people who really are elderly and can't get to church. I'm a couple of years away from that. And they can join in. They can see their friends, you know. And the other cool thing, which I have 4,500 recordings from that church. And of course that includes a lot of events people want if they knew it was there. So we're trying to drive a system where we can publish the fact those are available.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's do another student question. We got a few now. Okay, let's go from right to left. Right here, please. You, not Miles.
I have a question for Jeremiah. I guess, what do you think, at least for you, what is the most rewarding part of doing video production for you?
I think some of the stories just pertaining to my community, our community including Filipino, but in general, even American history. I remember there was this whole thing about the Filipino veteran, World War II veterans that didn't get recognized by the U.S. government. They got their medals taken away. It was a time when it was like, you know, racial tensions and stuff, right, in the 40s or 50s. So they fought for America in the Philippines, and then after the war was over, they took away their money and everything. But then eventually they, you know, softened their hearts and rewarded the Filipinos recognition and gave them their medals and everything. And I think to be able to experience stuff like that, which, you know, I'm reading history books and I'm experiencing in real life, to be going to Washington, D.C. and walking with these, at that time they didn't get any recognition, and walking around D.C. asking, like, you know, it's bipartisan, so every senator and congressman to support the bill to get them their what was that, your pension and your medal, and it took them like 20 years. So to get to that point where they now they're getting medals, and to be at the first few of those news events where they got the medals, for me it felt good to be able to see not just my history but just American history unfold in real life. And I was like, wow, that was fulfilling for me, and I was part of that journey to capture it. And then to be like walking around DC with these old Filipino men begging for like their medals that they got taken away. So stuff like that. I remember going to, had to cover the Pope in the UN, and that was amazing. I was like, wow, I'm just a kid from Hercules. I can't believe I'm in the UN and I see the Pope there and you see all these world leaders. I was like, what am I doing here, man? This is crazy. And I was filming, and we only had like 5 minutes to yeah, right, cool. Yeah. Yeah, dude. And I was like, filming, I was like, I can't believe I'm here, this is so crazy. And we only had 5 minutes to film, so you have to rush and get everything. So just stuff like that, to be able to experience that, to know that, again, I'm 46, but I always look at myself as just I'm a kid from Hercules. And so anytime I get to experience any of these type of things, that's always makes me appreciate the job. And also just in video production in general, it's like, I was just talking to a coworker, like, the business evolves so much. I mean, I'm thankful I still have a job. And even the people in the news department, I don't think anyone watches news as much anymore. And they're lucky that they feel lucky every day that they have a job still, because they're laying off everybody's. They cut a cameraman off, they make the reporter be cameraman, and it shows when you watch your stuff. So that the business evolved, but there's still a lot of content to be made, and that's where you have to learn the business part now. And so yeah, I'm grateful. I'm not sure if I answered your question, but yeah.
Sweet, thank you. Let's do another question. Yes.
That actually fits really well with my question. Listening to you all talk, it was really interesting to hear like the amount of changes, not just with things like COVID in the world, but also technology is constantly evolving. My question is, what in the next, let's say, 5 years, what changes do you anticipate in your role, and what is your mindset and approach to those changes?
Can I take that one?
Yeah, sure, let's do that.
I'd love to take that one. I work in the advanced technology department, right? And I'll say this: almost nearly every job, I think, in the next 5 years is going to be augmented by AI. I don't see how it's not going to be, because it's such a useful tool. And to me, it's a tool, right? And it's something that allows you to do a lot more than you could before. Is it going to take some jobs? Yeah. Well, so did digital production. It took a lot of film jobs, but it also expanded how many jobs you can, a lot of jobs that you can do. So if you look at film went away, and then everybody's upset because it was going to go digital, and then digital created a lot more jobs than what film had. Editors, film editing to digital editing, massive number of film editors now versus back then. I think AI is going to do the same thing. It democratizes the ability to do things. Is it going to be better? It depends on the person creating that stuff and the ability of that thing to actually do what you want it to do. So in the next 5 years, your best, in my opinion, you need to learn how to learn, unlearn, and relearn very quickly. And that means you need to learn how you learn. How do you learn this kind of information? How do you learn that kind of information? How do you learn visual information? How do you learn audio information? How do you learn technical information? If you don't know how you learn, how are you best preparing yourself to learn the things that you're going to have to do? So college isn't the place where you stop learning. When you graduate, you don't stop learning. That's when you start learning. Right? College is trying to help you prepare for how to learn things that you're going to need to know. I'm sure the amount that you learned prior to college and after college dwarfs what you learned in college. At least it was for me.
Yeah.
Like even in this last year, like you need to learn how to learn. And I think in AI, you've got to unlearn one thing, because a lot of times we just kind of layer it, and it layers and it layers, and especially in analog world, you can kind of still rely on the base knowledge and have it grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. AI doesn't work that way. The things that are coming out, they don't work that way. They're paradigm shifts. They're just completely different models, and they're different ways of approaching them. So you need to be able to set aside what you do know, put it over there, get in fresh, learn it all the way through, and again, learn how to be led, learn all the way through, learn that it's going to take time. You can't just jump in and know that you can do it. No, you have to start over and get all the way back through. But I think the learning curve will shrink. That's my own opinion. I think these things will assist you to get things done that are really, really complicated in a shorter amount of time. Take coding, for example. Take building apps. There's tons of like Claude. You can take Claude and build a full app and not know how to code. As long as you're persistent and have a good mental structure of what you're trying to do and be able to voice it, you can build a full app in a couple days. Like, that's crazy. That's cool, but it's scary and very cool, right? All together. So I think you need to be able to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And the more you learn on these various things, the better off you're going to be.
I have a flippant answer.
Yes.
I'm hoping people will learn that when you take video with a phone, you hold it this way and not that way.
That's fair. All right, thank you. Let's do another question. Yes.
I feel like I'm looking in a mirror with Andrew here, because as you know, my name is Andrew. And, I work at a church as a volunteer in their AV department. As someone who's trying to make the transition from religious media to traditional or narrative media, I see the 2 or 3 as pretty different. And I was just wondered if you had any advice about making that transition.
They've been separate for me the whole time, and so I don't know if I can help you. So is your goal storytelling, or?
Yeah, it's to do more storytelling work with film and television.
Yeah. And do you have a particular purpose for storytelling, or?
Yeah, just camera work, and I'm less focused on more of a message sort of thing, because the way that I look at religious media is that it's very message heavy. It's very, it's not very subtle in a way
Very
that film and
predictable.
television can be. Yeah, and I was just wondering that, are there places you go? Are there books that you read? Are there people you try to interview with to understand the differences between the 2, or did you have any self-experience of your way of separating the 2?
You know, my experience of being part of the Media Center in Palo Alto very much takes care of that, because that community is doing a different thing from religion. It's a community of people with a common goal, and that is to put out a message, to enable people to put out messages. So the quick answer to your question is, I will get involved with a media center if there's one in your community, and volunteer. You're volunteering at church. You obviously a volunteer type. Help people get out their message, you know, and it won't be religious for the most part, but and volunteering in the studio is great because you become part of that community of people with a common goal. But I think that's the best I can do to answer you.
Thank you. It wasn't a very clear question. I appreciate it.
Write your own story and film.
Well, yeah, that too.
Doing it's going to give you more experience because you're going to make mistakes and get reviews on that stuff and quickly. Set your own timeline. Pay yourself in a sense. Say, here's your budget. Put yourself in a timeline. I've got a week to do this, and deliver it by the end of the week, and let someone review it and take that criticism. Right? Find people around you, because you're asking, how do you tell stories? How do you do all this stuff? Well, learn about human condition. Learn about drama. Learn about psychology. Learn about all these things. And learn how to operate the camera and study the masters, right? Study what they did, because everything is not done just to do it. It's on purpose. Like, we don't do stuff at the higher levels. When I work with Hollywood people, that we're not doing stuff accidentally. We're doing it on purpose, and it's usually connected, 5 layers deep. Subtle. So if you don't understand the human condition, that means everything that can happen to a human drama, right? Understanding what those things are, and start to learn your craft, deeply understand your craft. Do you know how those work? Do you know everything about your camera? Do you understand everything about the camera system, from capture all the way to the sensor, all the way to it writing to the chip? Understand that path. Understand what makes it different. There's engineering sides. There's all kinds of things that you can study to start to get better at your craft. Join the ACE, the American Cinematography Association. Get their magazine. Read everything in there. Go talk to people. Join SMPTE, right? Talk to people. Educate yourself. Learn, right? Nothing is on accident. You can get accidental graces, fun things, but you should have a reason to do everything. If you're not doing it for a purpose, why are you doing it?
Sure, thank you. I do like that aspect. Let's do a few more questions. Yes?
Yeah,
just one more.
My for Jeremiah specifically, but any other speaker, feel free to add on to this. But you said for the TV series you directed that you didn't sleep. So I want to know what you're doing in those hours that you should be sleeping.
Reviewing the footage, planning the next day, coordinating, the shoots for the following days, and sometimes you just can't sleep. You're just up. Yeah, and not that I'm stressed out or anything. I'm just, sometimes when you're in the zone, you're just in the zone. Like you just, but you need sleep. So that's what happens, and that's when you know you really love what you're doing because you're just in the zone. But when it becomes stressful and you have to do it, then I don't know. And some jobs are like that, and then you have to get yourself out of that rut. But there's days when you're in it, you're in it, and because you just love to do the job you get to do. Even for some jobs that I'm not even hired for. I remember one time, one of my favorite boxers is Manny Pacquiao, right? And my buddy was working on a thing for the Philippines on Manny Pacquiao, so he was sent by our office to go cover him, and I was like, I wasn't assigned or anything. I was like, yo, man, let me go. I don't let me be third camera. I don't need to get paid. I just want to go. I got to see this guy like train in the gym because I don't know much longer he's gonna. And it was one of his last matches, and so he's like, yeah, go ahead. I'll give you credentials. And I was there. I didn't sleep. I went one day in, one day out. Got to be there filming and cover. I didn't even do anything with the footage. I wanted that. And sometimes you have to do some stuff like that just for your creativity and for your love of the game. And sometimes it's kind of hard to teach your younger people because younger people, not all young people, but the ones I have to deal with, like you try to make them like, he's like, yo, there's opportunity. You could work with the Warriors today, but I don't think it's paid. But then they're willing to let you be on just to shadow the set. And like, nah, I'm not getting paid anything. Why do I want to go? I was like, yeah, but you don't have no experience, man. Like you get that to network with people and like you build relationships and like, yeah, like I would totally take that at your age. Like, nah, man, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends and get drunk. I'm like, all right, man, I was trying to look out for you, man. Cause so stuff like that, you gotta really love it and take those opportunities. And also recognize if you're not that experienced, and you gotta take a lot of those experiences in the beginning, and then like you're gonna work through it, and you're gonna make friends, and because within that, when I did that Pacquiao thing, I met people that were covered. I'm not sure if it was whoever was handling those docu-series of the boxers. I think it was ESPN, one of those people. When because my favorite series was an HBO show called 24/7 Boxing. So I think it shifted to like Showtime. So I met the cinematographers and producers there, and I wasn't asking for a job or anything from them. I just wanted to pick their brain about stuff because you get So I met them, and then I'm still friends with them, and I still like will ask them questions because I have a lot of questions, and sometimes I'll ask, hey, if you're in LA, I throw you this gig if you want it, and like, nah, well, I'm not there, but thank you, I appreciate that, and and that's where the love of the game can get you because you just love doing it and you're open, and you don't always know everything, and like he said, he was. Hold sandbags just because for the love of the game, and sometimes you do it. I'll do that too, for anybody, and so that's hopefully I answer your question, dude.
I would say you also get to do like you map out the whole day. Like if you can't see that day in your head, because invariably something's not going to work out, and you got to have backup plans. You need your plan A, your plan B, and your plan C. You need a fixer. You need all the things. And if you're the fixer is a person who solves stuff in a local area for you. If you don't have that, you're the fixer. So you're up in the middle of the night saying, well, what if the car breaks down? Okay, where can this fail? If you're not going through this, what if this fails? What if this person doesn't show up? What are we going to pivot to? Because your day is only so long and you got to keep going. So the person in charge has to be ready. And hopefully you've got a good team, but if it's only you could be doing any number of things. Preparing for lunch. Where do you get lunch if lunch doesn't show up? Trust me, you don't want to. You got to feed your people. If you're not feeding your people, you're not going to get good work.
Yeah, and if your name is the dude, then it's all on you. It doesn't matter if so and so did a bad job. It's like still you're responsible for that. It's they're gonna look at you. So, and you got to take it, the good and the bad, and just roll with it. But it's all right.
Do the work.
Yeah.
Don't shy away from it.
Yeah.
Don't take shortcuts. Understand it deeply. Deeply. That's going to get you further than anything. Just dig deep. And that's really hard because it's so easy to do a lot of things these days. And you get the false impression that the whole world works that way. It doesn't. It really doesn't. And they won't tell you. They'll smile in your face and say, "Oh yeah, great job. I'll never work with that person again."
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
All right. Thank you, students, for your questions. I'm going to ask you all the same final question. Do you have any recommendations for these fresh minds and where they can start pursuing your fields now and today? Let's start with Andrew.
Afraid I'm so detached, I don't know. But I'm a great fan of community media centers, and I know, is this the one at the answer?
Yes.
Certainly the one in San Jose is huge and well funded. The one in Palo Alto is secure. I wouldn't say it's dynamic at the moment. Yeah, that's the best I can do, I think.
Yeah. And at the very least, your upcoming gig. You might need a hand on.
Right.
Jeremiah, can I ask you the same?
What was the question?
Do you have any recommendations for these fresh minds and how they can get started in what you do now and today?
I mean, from my experience, I was always looking to get on someone's set or production. I was trying to intern everywhere. Internship is key if you can get into one, because you learn and you meet people, and these people that you intern for, if you made a good impression on them, they'll call you back for projects or even a job, you know. That's how I got a lot of my jobs and projects, and I still get projects because I had, you know, volunteered for someone like 20 years ago, and we only hung out for like 5 hours, and they liked me, and they're like, hey, it's good, you know. So, you know, and I'm not saying you have to be fake and like, you know, just be cool and coachable and nice and do what you're told to do. Don't be difficult on set, because people remember people that are difficult on set. Like, yo, that guy, never working again. Because these are 12-hour days, 8 to 12-hour days sometimes. Like, you want to like the people you're around. So yeah, I'll say intern, get to know, and just be open to meet people all the time, even if they're not in your field. You know, I have a lot of friends that are in sound. Sound is, you know, always like, people forget about sound sometimes, but it's like you said earlier, it's all about sound with video. Sound is very important. Yeah, be friends with everybody and look for an internship wherever you're trying to go. And look for mentorships and pick people's brains, because you're always learning, like you said, you're always learning. Like people I know that work in different places, I still reach out to them and do Instagram or something. I would just DM people that I admire. Like there was a cinematographer from the NBA. Like he does all the stuff for like the, you know, like Kobe Bryant and all those people. And I was like, man, that guy's really cool. So I just messaged him. I was like, yo, man, I like your stuff, man. Can I learn from you? And then like I didn't expect him to respond. And then he responded. I was like, wow, that's cool. Like, and he was like, yeah, just ask me anything. So I'd ask him questions about stuff. And then one day I was assigned to one of those like warrior game. And I saw him walking, and we never met in person. And we stopped. I was like, hey. And he was like, Jeremiah. I was like, oh, Thanasis. He was like, oh, we finally get to meet. And we talked. And he was like, yeah, man, like, you know, it was finally nice to meet you. And if you ever want any projects, let me know. I was like, yeah, cool. I never asked him for projects, but I still reach out to him for like advice about stuff, or to just look at my work and see where I'm at. And sometimes if they know you're not trying to like sell yourself to try to get work, then they'll just hire you, because they know that you're trying to build like a camaraderie, and I'm not sure if that makes sense.
No,
but
it absolutely is.
Yeah. So.
Thank you. And lastly, Shane, I know you've already answered this question essentially, but just to summarize, where should we start?
I have a philosophy degree. Philosophy and law. 3 years computer science. And now I'm the creative lead at a tech company. So what I found what I would suggest to you is go wide, understand the human condition, study psychology, study philosophy, study things that are about the things that people tell stories about. If you're trying to tell stories, you need to understand people. And I think both of them hit on it, is bring, you know, that drive to learn, and just don't shortcut it. And again, eyes, ears, mouth, and the ratio, that they're on your head, and you'll go a long way with that. And build your network. You talked about building your network, being able to reach out to people and talk to them, and try to find something that you can add. Right? Come with solutions. Don't come with problems. Right? Because if you're thinking with solutions, we've got these. Here's the challenge. Here's the solutions I've come up with. Which one do you think we should do? You know, well, those are valuable to people. So I could talk for hours about what you guys could do, because I've got a lot of lessons of what I shouldn't do. Because you make mistakes, and that's part of it. I think everyone up here, if you're perfect, you're boring. It's boring because you get it right. You don't know how you got it right or why you got it right. You just got it right. But if you go through the trenches and you slog through it and you make mistakes after mistakes, and you learn a lot through that. And I think just persevering through that builds character. So, end of the day, people like doing work with people they like to do work with.
It's true.
If you like them.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause to our panelists. That was a really cool conversation. Thank you for that. Feel free to say hi to them on your way out. We have some snacks. Thank you so much for coming. I had a fun time asking questions. I hope you did too. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Where can you say hi to